you ever received?
That's a really good question. Right now, you're going to ask me that?
Yes, right now.
I can't think of anything right now. Keep your mouth shut, maybe.
Giovanni, you're no stranger to the indie world. I mean, you seem like you're among your peeps here.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think a lot of people say, what's the difference between a studio film and an independent film? I think that ultimately it comes down to the filmmaker and what the filmmaker wants to do. It's just a matter of it being bigger and better craft service, or smaller and no trailer at all, and just working 20-hour days.
Which you prefer?
I don't. It really depends on the script and the people that you're working with. Again, if you're in good company, then it's definitely worth it.
Giovanni, you're so amazing in these independent films, and you play such a deep character most of the time. But yet on Friends, you were hysterically funny.
Yeah, that was an interesting experience for me, because I was always working on a film when I would go and do that separately, and I would show up not having been able to rehearse, and then just sort of like walk on and do it. And
the character.
I know, but a lot of people bring it up, and I don't even remember it. It was like a 5-minute experience for me.
Would you ever do a sitcom?
I don't know. TV is definitely a different world. It's a different mentality and sort of a different intention. So for me, I would probably want to stick with filmmaking.
Would you give any advice to up-and-coming actors?
Yeah, I think it's just now. It's interesting. We had an independent film movement 15 years ago, and which is sort of like the genesis of this and independent filmmaking. And I would say that ultimately, why that happened was because people were committed, and they worked their ass off for what they wanted to do, and they had values. And so that would be the thing that I don't want to ever give advice to anybody, but that's what I would like to see.
Why is independent film important to you?
I don't know if it's necessarily just independent film, but it's filmmaking, and as far as independent films are concerned, they can sort of skew the bureaucracy of bigger corporations, and you can have more of a singular, specific expression from the director, namely, and there's a lot more freedom, and so for me, it's always. I don't know, it can be a really enriching experience. But sometimes in independent filmmaking, you have somebody who just doesn't, it's all about the individuals and the company, not necessarily independent versus corporate or whatever.
What kind of script are you waiting for that you haven't had yet?
What kind of script?
What kind of a story? What kind of a character have you been waiting for that you haven't gotten yet?
Gosh, I don't know. I think... I don't know. That's a good question. I think that I don't know how to answer that.
You have such a dynamic range. I mean, there's got to be something out there you've been jonesing to try that you haven't.
I think it's probably more or less not necessarily about the kind of script, but it's about the filmmakers for me, and because that really, especially in independent filmmaking, that's really the auteur theory. That idea is they're the writers. And so I think it would probably be more specific for me, or better to answer what directors,
okay, well, who would you like to work
and of course, there's always, Martin Scorsese's and Paul Thomas Anderson. I love and have always loved Danny Boyle, who I don't know if Slumdog Millionaire is, but he always seems to reinvent himself, and it's always an exciting event for me to go and see one of his movies. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping.